I remember the exact moment I asked for help. I was 18, freshly graduated, dreams bigger than my bank account. "Mom, Dad, I need help with college tuition," I said, hopeful. They looked at me like I'd asked for a loan to buy the moon. "Be independent," they said. I stared at them, shocked, hurt, angry. At that moment, I realized I was on my own, and that decision would define the next 9 years of my life. My name is Leela. I grew up in a house that smelled like ambition and judgment. My parents, successful professionals, always emphasized hard work, but their definition of help had boundaries I had just crossed. They had paid for my brother's private school, his extracurriculars, his summer camps. Me? I got advice, pep talks, and a reminder to figure it out. I wasn't bitter, not yet. I was determined. I took a part-time job at a local bookstore. Long hours, minimum wage. Every paycheck went into a small savings jar labeled "College Tuition, Lila's Life." I applied for scholarships, grants, anything that wouldn't involve them. And I learned quickly, independence isn't just about money. It's about planning, patience, and refusing to give up even when everyone else doubts you. My first semester, I miscalculated expenses. Books cost more than expected. Transportation ate into my savings. I skipped meals, worked extra shifts, stayed awake until 2 a.m. writing papers. And all the while, my parents acted as if I were making it up. "Be independent," my father reminded me casually during a phone call. I felt small, powerless, but determined. Then came Ava. She was older, a senior, confident, already navigating life independently. She saw my struggle, offered guidance. "You don't need them," she said one evening. "You have drive. You have brains. You can do this." Her words were the first real lifeline I accepted. I realized independence doesn't have to mean isolation. Over the next few years, I balanced 2 jobs at a time, community college classes during the day, freelance projects at night. Sleep became optional. My social life, non-existent. But every dollar, every hour, every sacrifice pushed me closer to my goal. I slowly transformed from a dependent teen into a resourceful young woman. I was becoming someone my parents would never expect. By my 3rd year of college, I had a portfolio. Small freelance jobs turned into contracts. Networking, persistence, late nights, everything started paying off. And then came the moment that would change everything. An internship with a company that could fully fund my final tuition and offer a full-time position afterward. It was the breakthrough I had been working toward, on my own. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years: pride. By the time I graduated, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. The internship became a full-time position. I moved into a small apartment on my own. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I decorated it slowly, carefully. Every corner a reminder. I built this. Every paycheck, every late night, every skipped weekend, it had led here. Within a year, I had savings. Enough to pay off student loans. Enough to invest in small projects. I started freelancing on the side, expanding my network. The person who once begged for tuition was now financially stable and completely independent. Meanwhile, my parents didn't notice me. Or maybe they did, but only in passing, as if my success wasn't relevant. Life had a way of balancing scales. 9 years later, their situation changed. A failed business, a risky investment gone wrong, bills piling up, legal fees, pressure from creditors. And suddenly, the people who once told me to be independent were struggling to stay afloat. I heard about it casually. A mutual acquaintance mentioned the bankruptcy. I didn't celebrate, but I felt a flicker of justice. 9 years ago, they refused to support me. Now, they were facing a reality they couldn't solve without help. And I had the power. The first contact came quietly. A message. Leela, we need to talk. Can you help us? I read it twice. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to feel something. Relief? Nostalgia? Forgiveness? But I didn't respond immediately. I let the weight of 9 years sink in. I remembered the nights I skipped dinner to save money for books. The time I walked miles to campus because the bus fare was too expensive. The countless tears I cried in my tiny bedroom, wondering why my parents didn't believe in me. And now, here they were, asking for the help they once denied me. By now, I had everything they had refused to give me: confidence, financial stability, knowledge of the world, self-reliance. They didn't need to teach me anything anymore, and they couldn't demand anything from me, because I had learned the most important lesson they never taught. You survive, you thrive, you choose yourself. It was late afternoon. I was sitting at my kitchen table, sipping tea. Then, 3 sharp knocks. I froze. The sound felt familiar. I opened the door, and there they were, my parents, desperate, disheveled. Not the proud, confident people who refused to help me. Number, this was fear, vulnerability, humiliation. They stepped inside cautiously. My mother started crying immediately. "They're taking everything," she said. "The house, our savings. We don't know what to do." They didn't say my name. They didn't look at me. My father added quietly, "Leela, can you help us?" I leaned against the counter, calm. I let their words hang in the air. 9 years ago, they didn't give me a chance. Now they were asking me to save them. I remembered walking to campus in the rain because I couldn't afford a bus. I remembered nights I cried over textbooks I couldn't buy. I remembered the cold look my father gave me when I asked for help. I remembered my mother saying, "Be independent." I remembered feeling small, invisible, worthless. And now they were at my mercy. I looked at them, calm. "I won't help you," I said softly. My mother gasped. "You'd let us lose everything?" I held her gaze. Yes. I didn't shout. I didn't scold. I didn't cry. I simply stated the truth. "You refused to help me when I needed it," I continued. "Do you remember asking for tuition? Do you remember being told to be independent?" They didn't respond. You forced me to figure it out on my own. I did. I succeeded. And I thrived. Now it's your turn to be independent. I walked them to the door, opened it, and said, I hope you learn accountability. And I hope you learn regret. I closed the door and walked away. They lost the house. Their investments collapsed. Legal fees piled up. And my parents, the ones who refused to invest in me, had no one to rely on but themselves. Meanwhile, I built my life, career, home, independence, friends who loved me, projects that mattered. The child who was ignored grew into a woman they could no longer control. 9 years after they told me to be independent, I stood in my own home, fully self-made. No one could decide my worth but me. I finally understood. Independence isn't just survival. It's freedom. It's power. And it's the only lesson some people never learn until it's too late. Some call this revenge. I call it justice. Some call it cold. I call it balance.